catalog, including blues, soul, jazz. They buy, sell, and trade, and offer vinyl cleaning and flattening service. Visit the store, located at 4242 East University Drive in Phoenix, or for more online at recordhighinphoenix.com. Like them on Facebook. Record High in Phoenix. Experience one of the last great record stores.
Blues America is supported by the Rhythm Room. The world famous and historical Rhythm Room Concert Club is Arizona's premier blues hotspot, hosting nightly live music. Located at 1019 East Indian School Road in Phoenix and online at www.rhythmroom.com.
Damn right we got the blues. Blues America. Right now.
Blues America, supported by the Southwest Musical Arts Foundation.
If you just turned this thing on, let me tell you what you're doing. You're listening to Blues America. I'm your host, the guy behind the blues, Drew Verbis, and I'm hanging out at the Chico Chisholm Memorial Studio in Phoenix at 4242 East University Drive, live with today's special guest, one of the top blues singers, Sugaray Rayford.
I'm gonna take you up.
So, let me ask you, how'd you get the name Sugaray? Have you always used that name, or did you have a different name?
I've had, it's very strange. Back in the breakdancing days, people called me Weasel. When I got in the Corps, at one point I was real militant, just kind of, and a lot of people know me at that time. They called me Vanglorious. Don't ask, it gets deep. But when I started doing the R&B stuff, I would always wear, I guess you call it candy color. So I have on a red suit with red Stacey Adams with a red hat with a red cane, or a blue hat with, matched from rooter to tutor. And people just start calling me Sugar, like, oh, Sugaray, Sugaray. And I used to spell it Sugar and then Ray, but there's a lot of Sugarers out there, as I realized as I got on. So that people started just spelling it Sugar with one R, Sugaray with one R. But I got that name probably 20 some odd years ago. People just started calling me Sugaray. And to the blues people out there, don't be naming yourself. Someone has to name you.
That's good advice. So at some point you started to break out on your own. You did a solo album, I believe it was the Blind Alley. Tell me about that.
Well, there's a lot leading in between that, but at one point I was running the top jam in Los Angeles, and people think the jams, don't think about, how would I say this? This was a true pro jam. And what I mean by pro jam is that I would have like Honey Boy Edwards, my good buddy Jimmy Vivino, Slash was a friend of mine, Steve Lukather, Vivian Campbell, Raphael Sadiq, the Goo Goo Dolls, Lifehouse, Bill Champlin, Al Cooper. We talking about, and these guys would come play my jam. It just came to a point where it was like, okay, you know what? It's time for me to do a solo album. I've never done one. It's time to do a solo album. What direction am I going to take? And, I went in thinking one direction, but it became one of these things where I had so many great people that, Al Cooper from Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Donny Hathaway, the Super Sessions. It's a good friend of mine. He gave me a disc with 17 songs and like, hey, Sugar, you can record any of these. People pay this guy $500,000, $1 million a song. He gave me 17, so I put 2 of those songs on the album. I had some other really big name people who wrote songs on the album for me, as Arthur Adams, Joe Garfunkel wrote one. It just became this thing, and I just kind of stood back and let it become what it was going to become.
Blind, baby, blind, baby.
Damn right.
Damn right. We got the blues.
There's a leak in this old building, and I know I got to move. Said I know I got to move. Said I know I got to move. There's a leak in this old building, and I know
So that was your first solo album, right?
Yes.
So how'd that feel to get your name out there?
It was different. It was scary. I didn't know what critics were going to say. I didn't know. At this time, I wasn't really touring. I was just doing some stuff around L.A., and it was scary. And I spent a lot of money on this album. And I want to say thank you to all the great musicians that played on the album for almost nothing. They did it out of love and appreciation, which is just, I mean, if you look at the album, you start looking at the names and look who's on the album. I mean, and you research them. You're like, wow, so, yeah. But the main thing was, it was kind of scary, and there's a song off my new album off of the New South Side called Call Off the Mission. That song was originally written to go on Blind Alley, but I was too afraid at the time as a young artist to put something political like that on an album. So,
yeah, speaking of big names, your second album, your sophomore album, you step up really to Delta Groove is a pretty big deal, and you got like guys like Kim Wilson on there.
Yeah, Kim's buddy.
Yeah, tell me about that album.
Well, this was basically a concept album from Randy Sharkov. Randy really wanted me to, even though I had been established the San Diego scene, the LA scene, the rest of the country, and I had done quite a bit in France, but the rest of the world had no idea who I was. Still, sometimes they don't know who I am, but he wanted me to be established as a Chicago Delta blues shouter, which is good. I mean, the fact that I had the ability to do it all. And so it was a concept album. And then it spun into, as always when we're doing stuff with Delta Groove, because everybody on the West Coast knew Randy, knew Delta Groove, they would just show up. So all of a sudden, my good buddy Sugaray Rayford shows up. He's written 2 songs, and one of my favorite songs is 2 Times Sugar. I love that song, Country Boy. And then Monster Mike Welch wrote a couple songs, and then of course there was a couple covers we put in there. But Dangerous was one that was written by Randy, and we really pulled that off. Depression Blues, because I'm a Gate by Brown fanatic. That's the version that I know is the version I like to play. Ralph and I got together. We wrote I Might Do Something Crazy. Keep Her at Home. That was written by Frank Goldwasser, Paris Slim, and he basically wrote it for me because he wanted me to push that type of gospel power behind it. So it was a great album. Stuck for a Buck. I play at my live shows. Another song that was written by Ralph and I, and I didn't know how people would accept it, but it was funny. It didn't win any awards, but it was like the #2 album on Billboard, #2 blues album on Billboard Roots and Reggae charts, behind Buddy Guy for like 8 weeks. I was kind of shocked when we got no nominations, I was like, well, that's where we go. But it has still been I think one of the top selling albums that Delta Groove's ever put out, and people still love the album. I think it was well done.
And I think that is surprising. I think it really made a name for you. I mean, all of a sudden I start hearing your name like everywhere and touring and stuff,
Which is just strange the way these things work, because I had already been playing with my band and I had already been fronting the Managed Boys. It's just strange. I mean, but yeah, it was one of the things where people were like, oh, well, we didn't know who you were. Oh, that's right, we saw you with the Managed Boys, but we didn't know who. So yeah, you got to do it, paying dues.
For a buck.
Blues America. Now that's some home cooking.
I got bricks in my pillow, mama, and my head can't rest no more.
Well, since you brought up Randy and the Managed Boys, tell us about that.
That was wild. I was sitting in L.A. doing absolutely nothing. And my good friend Cal David, I don't know if you know Cal David. Cal's a beast. Cal, for a while, was the lead singer for Chicago. He was the singer for the Fabulous Rhinestones, guitarist. One day I was sitting in L.A. doing nothing. I get a call from Cal. He's playing at a little place in the valley. And he's like, Shug, what's going on? Like, Cal was moving. Hey, come on down and sit in, man. Where you at? I'm at such and such. And I'm like, okay, cool. Go down and play with Cal. Nate Watts is on bass from Stevie Wonder. Gatson is playing drums. Little Australian or English guy playing harmonica. Cal, and I think Jimmy Vivino. And so we all sitting there, and I'm thinking I'm going to do 2 songs, but I wound up playing 40-some odd minutes. Kicking it. Place goes crazy. We're outside laughing with Cal. And the little English guy walks up to me, hey, Mike, you're the best, Mike. I've seen them all, and I put you up there with Freddie King and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, as we do. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that, man. Whatever, blah, 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 blah. He walks away. Cal is laughing, and Cal's like, yeah, I have no idea who that was, Sugar. And I'm like, no, man, that was John Mayall. So unbeknownst to me, I just played 45 minutes with John Mayall and this great, great band.
They say I'm an overnight sensation. I don't know if that's exactly right.
I said all that to say at the exact same time, a couple of days before, maybe a few days before, I'm not sure the timeline, Bobby Jones had left the Managed Boys, and it was only Finest Tasby singing. Randy Sharkoff is in the audience. And within a few days, I get a phone call asking if I would like to join the Managed Boys.
So that's pretty cool. Is that, I know you've done 2 albums now with the Managed Boys. Is that going to continue, do you think?
Yeah, we, right now they're going through the whole transition phase with Randy having passed away. There's a lot of legal stuff. But I've talked to Jeff and to Tammy who are running the company, and as well as the band members. And we will try to put it out 2016, if not 2016, 2017. But yeah, we're not gonna let that die. And right now the thing has been trying to figure out the configuration of the band. Some guys want horns, some guys want piano. We'll see what they got, what happened.
Let's step away from the music for just a second, although this still is a part of it. Let's talk about your style. You like to dress the part and be dapper. I know you like your stogies and
oh yeah.
So tell me about your style.
Well, I've gotten a little lazy with all the touring, and my wife got mad at me so funny because she just got on me a few weeks ago. But I usually like to wear. I like to be dressed, man. I'm going to sweat like a runaway slave. But I like to go up there, and from the beginning, when I walk on that stage, I want to be the cleanest guy in the room. I want to be, it means something to me. Not only that, not just a blues thing. I grew up in gospel, black gospel, East Texas. And when you walked in the church, the word Sunday best is a reason for that. You had your Sunday best on. I don't care if you was the usher, if you just sitting there. And it's a thing of respect. And for me, it's respect to the audience. I know some guys who will get up and play in flip-flops and shorts and blah, 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 blah. That's disrespect. And for me, it's a disrespect to the audience. It's a disrespect to yourself. Everybody's got their own way. But for me, people spent their hard-earned money. Beyond that, they spent their hard-earned time to come see you. The least you could do is be dressed appropriately, that when you welcome into the building, they feel that they're being welcomed into the building.
Come gather around. The band is in your town. We've come to play for you. Yeah, what we came to do now.
Your new album came out, Southside. That's a great album, so tell me about it.
I love all blues. And don't get me wrong, West Coast blues, Chicago blues, Mississippi is great. But I kept telling people as I tour around the world, no one's playing that Southern Memphis Stax or even go to East Coast Muscle Shoals type thing. And it's a money thing. I know some of it's a money thing. It's hard to travel with 2 horns, a B3 player, a drummer, bass player, guitar, singer. Believe me, I know. 7-8 piece band, it's expensive. But having said that, when I walk up on a stage and we hit the first note, and every band has been 2 guitars or 2 guitars and a harmonica or harmonica and a piano, and then all of a sudden I walk up with 2 background singers, 3-piece horn section, B3, bass drums, some of the best players ever, and they hit that first note. The look on people's face is very strange, because usually with most big festivals, concert stuff we do, the first 2 songs, people are almost, the look on their face is like, wow, what am I hearing? What is this? Wow. But I said that to say no one's doing the Little Milton, the Tyrone Davis, the old Aber King style. Everyone's just going. It's almost like Stevie Ray Vaughan, who's a great Texan like me. It's like he left such an indelible mark on the blues that everyone thinks that it's got to be a guitar, bass, and drums, or a guitar, harmonica. But blues originally was an oratory.